everybody. Sorry Katie can't join us tonight. She was in a car accident yesterday, just a little bender, but a little rattled, so we're gonna reschedule her to the first Tuesday in December. So if we haven't met yet, I'm Joanne Fisher with Fisher Family Body Talk. I'm first time in the new space. I got flooring done today, and I guess we're mirror image on the protocol chart, but yeah, so tonight, since Katie was unable to join us, I just wanted to come in and just do a little overview of what Body Talk is. So if you're not familiar with it, you'll be up to par as the other guests come along in the next few weeks. And talk a little bit about chronic pain and those long-term injuries that we tend to get stuck with and can't resolve. So the basics of Body Talk is it's a method of healing from our own innate ability to heal. So it's a system that's been created with this protocol chart, with that left brain, an intuitive practice of asking a series of yes/no questions, to ask your subconscious a series of questions to actually get to the root cause of what is going on. First step in fixing any problem is recognizing that there's a problem to fix and what that problem is. So it's a holistic modality that looks at the big picture, including our environment and our relationships and our events and our traumas, as well as our physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual well-being. It's known first and foremost as a method of stress reduction. So yeah, so that's a quick little overview. If you want to know more about Body Talk, you can go back into the video section here, and there's a recording of the full presentation I did a while back, as well as the presentation from John Beltime, the founder of Body Talk. And so what I wanted to talk to you about is chronic pain and illness, and our behavioral triggers, anxiety, depression, injuries, all those things that are going on in our life that trigger us and harm us are all symptoms of our body, mind trying to get our attention, saying, hey, something's not right here. I need your help. And the problem is that we are too busy to listen to those little symptoms, and then they just keep adding up until they become one bigger problem, or that we're just not able to translate what those symptoms are telling us. And so we can get into the root cause of those issues by getting to figure out what the story behind those things are. So often it's a way our body's trying to get our attention to deal with something that we didn't deal with at the time, that we need to go back and uncharge those events. And Body Talk, we talk about the active memory, all the things that are still held charged and triggering us, that they're still causing an effect on us past their time. So chronic pain, injuries, physical restriction in your flexibility, the way our body holds stuff, anything that won't heal or is morphed into like arthritic joint issues, these things tend to be the result of emotional holdings or traumatic events that haven't been addressed, or other stressors that haven't been addressed. And these issues are coming up as a way of getting your attention to come back and fix those issues. So the trouble is most of us are too busy to pay attention, and with Body Talk we're simply translating those symptoms so we can figure out what's going on. And once we connect the pain to that story or that issue, they're often those active memories, or sometimes they can be other issues, and we can figure out what they are. So the big thing I had coming up was my jaw injury that I had when I I received it when I was around 11 or so is what I remember playing ringette. I had a collision with another player and I dislocated my jaw, and it's never really worked quite right since. And then I injured it again in 2003 in a car accident. I broke my arm. The airbag took me into the face. And I was able to find that working through Body Talk here, that 25-year-old injury, my jaw really deviated. If you go back and watch some of my other videos, it's really noticeable, and you can see now that it's pretty good. It's still not perfect, but that my jaw was really out of alignment and not working the way it should work. So we are able to come back and resolve these old issues. This 25-year-old injury, I was able to resolve and get this jaw working properly. And the way I was able to repair this injury was I was working through it with the Body Talk, and we got to the root cause of what that trigger was. In Body Talk, we work with what we call here the matrix, or the masks and personas we put on. And it took me to we look at different body parts or endocrines or different things and what they represent. So we went with the jaw, and it took me to the pathology of the jaw. Displaced was the word that wanted to come up for it. And then it took me to how it was being fed from an environment, and it was person, mother displaced, and light bulb that I had injured this when I was around 11 or so. And it was just probably a couple months after my mom and dad split. And so here I am being displaced. And my jaw, so I didn't deal with those emotions at the time. You know, I was 11, didn't know how to deal with the scope of things. And my body's like, you need to deal with this stuff and you're not paying attention. I'm going to give you a reason to pay attention. And then I got that injury and I never dealt, apparently I never dealt with the stuff. And when I had the car accident, that airbag popped my jaw out again. I had lost a job just a couple months before that, yet again displaced. So then there was that second injury there. And so all these emotions of, being lost and left behind. And I noticed now, I was thinking about it today, the stories of when it would aggravate me the most was when I was really feeling alone. So I was able to kind of correlate it to when I was thinking about it earlier today. And so once we recognized that, and I was able to go through some Body Talk techniques of actually working with the alignment and the rehab of the joint, and I'm actually able to get this jaw to align, and all that damage that was 25 years old has been resolved. So even those old injuries, those old pains, it doesn't matter how old they are. Our body is always constantly rebuilding and regrowing. Every day we're getting new cells in our different areas. And so our body's able to come in and heal, and it just needs a little bit of help to do that. And so with my jaw, I wasn't able to resolve that issue until I went back and dealt with the emotions of being displaced with, it was with mom and dad splitting. It hasn't come up to address the job loss stuff yet, so there's still not perfect. So there's still another layer that I need to address with that. But just absolutely amazed that this 25-year-old injury I've been able to resolve, and it's doing so much better. And starting to just notice the different triggers and stories that our body holds and the different things that act up. That I know my husband's a pain in the neck, that when things get heated up between us, that I get a locked up neck. So I start to recognize those things, and those things aren't going away until you go and deal with those things. So when you have injuries, you got to go back and figure out what was going on. So Katie wasn't able to join us because she ended up in a little car crash yesterday and got a whiplash injury, a little bit of a concussion. She's doing all right, but now we got to work through and figure out what was leading up to her body saying, hey, I need to do something. I need you to listen to me. So there's going to be a story there. So maybe when we see her in a month, that she'll have a better understanding of what that could be. But that's just the real fun thing, that everything that's going on with our body there's a story behind it. It's a way our body is trying to communicate with us. And so Body Talk, we're always looking at the body consciousness of how our different areas represent different things. So if you sprain your ankle, ankles are really about change and taking steps in life and making change in life. And so if you're hesitant to do that, then we're having issues with change. That's when we're going to have an issue with our ankle, as usual role of it. Shoulders tend to be about responsibility and burden. The large intestine, the colon, is about letting go of our crap and releasing our stuff. So if we're still holding on to things, holding grudges, holding on to stuff we don't need to hold on, then we're going to have issues in that area. And so Body Talk's a way of asking through that yes-no questioning, through this chart, to figure out what is going on so that we can get to the root of what those things are. And so that's really all I had to say. I was just going to give that little overview of how we can get through all of our old injuries, all of our old issues. And I was going to open it up to some questions. And I have a hi popping up. And does anyone that's with me have any questions? Type them on in if you have questions. Any other cool stories from Body Talk that anyone wants to share? And apparently, I'm going to play with this here and see. We can have options to have people join in, and that's how you can have multi-broadcasters. So, hey, Kara, I seen you popped in. Do you want to chat with me a little bit? I can add you to our Q&A here if you would like to chat with me for a minute, since Kara Davies, who is joining us, is another Body Talk practitioner, a colleague of mine. We can tap you in and not turn your video on if that makes you feel more comfortable. If anyone has any questions, let me know. I can figure out. It's not going to let me. All right. That's all I really wanted to do today, was talk a little bit about chronic injuries and long-term things, and that our bodies are just awesome and they can heal themselves when you get to the root of what's going on. And just my really awesome story. So if you go back and check out some of my videos from a couple months ago, you can watch how my jaw really deviates off to the side. So pretty cool. And everything's feeling a whole lot better in there. And if you guys want to see the new space so far is pretty bland. Just got the floor in today. Yeah. So pretty much ready to go. Taking bookings for the new space here next week. All right. Thanks for joining me for the little bit. It will be much more entertaining next week when I have my speakers.